for 1,000 yards in NCAA history.
Yeah.
The first ever.
Yeah.
Guys, I want you guys to let that sit in your spirit. Let that sit, because it's not for those who are younger. You guys understand, offenses back then for football are not the same how it is now. The spread was not and I really can think the only spread guys even I could think of right then to think of spread. The only two guys, and people don't realize this, the only two guys that come to my mind is you and Vic.
Mm-hmm. But
In that era.
Vic ran the traditional offense. He was at Virginia Tech. They ran.
He just ran. You're right.
He just was a freak of nature. I mean,
you're right. They did run the spread.
They ran the I formation. Yeah, they ran the ball down your throat. Play action.
Right. You're right. So Richard, you are the Godfather spread. Okay. So Rich Rodriguez came there. At what point did you realize? I'm pretty sure he came there. If the other coach got fired, he came there in the summertime. At what point did you say, "Man, this right here gonna be fun"?
It was fun when he came in. I remember our first meeting, because I love transparency. That's one thing I like. So our first meeting, he comes in and he sits down. He says, because we've been through a whole bunch of, just craziness. He comes in, he sits down, he said, "Listen, I'm going to tell y'all right off the bat, I'm Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde."
Uh-huh.
He said, in the meeting rooms, I'm Dr. Jekyll. I'm calm, we're talking, I'm teaching. That's my element to make sure you guys know what you're doing. He said, but on the field, I'm Mr. Hyde. I'm yelling. I'm in your face. I'm screaming. I'm throwing stuff at you. He said, I'm going to put so much pressure on you on that practice field that when we get to the game and I'm up in the booth, you can relax and play ball because I'm not breathing on your neck. And I was like, oh, I can deal with that. So if I'm on the field and I make a bad read, I make a mistake, and he yells, he throws the paper at me, or he throws his hat. One thing, he will not throw his Oakleys. He'll tell you that I'm not throwing my Oakleys, but he throw his hat at you. He kicks some dirt at you. He yell. He wouldn't hit you or shake you. He probably grab you and just yell. But I never took it personally. I never took offense because he already explained to me what he was doing.
Okay.
So. And then we get back. As a matter of fact, we go back in the film room, and that same play he done raked me out over, he's just talking just as calm as you and I are. So this is what you should have done, this here, when you see that safety here, you got to make sure you anticipate. So now he's teaching, and it was just a beautiful thing. So when I began to learn, I began to put my trust in him. Like I said, Coach Stockstill was still there. I always had a confidence there, but man, it was just one of those things of, man, it was like, okay, I could do this. And then finally, that day, one scrimmage that summer, it just clicked. And offense was like second nature. And it's like I knew exactly what to do before it happened. I walk up to the line of scrimmage and I see the defense and like, oh, I already know what y'all doing. So we about to do this. So it just clicked for me.
Wow. So at that point you already know. So and that's good. That's going into your junior year?
1999. Yeah, that was
junior. Mm-hmm. So your junior year, you come on the field, and at that point, you take off. Mm-hmm. Y'all hit the ground running. You hit the ground running.
Yeah.
You go.
He came in there. We had a decent season that year. Like I said, we had that first year. We had first time I think we won 7. We were like 2 games above 500. Went to a bowl game that first year. And then that following year, in the year 2000, is we talking about the takeoff. That's when we took off. We jumped the gates. We 8-0, number 2, number 3 in the country. That was that year. But that for me, I'm a transparent person. I think that's gonna help somebody. For me, it was a double-edged sword because of you get out there and you perform it week in and week out. One thing with me, I've always, and even to this day, struggle with insecurities. Okay. And you wouldn't know because of the way I carry myself, the way I think. But you get out there, you have a great game. And I can remember having a great game and then getting, dressed and getting on the bus. It's like now all of a sudden the pressure jumps on your back. And it's like, oh, will I be able to do it again? If I don't perform, Will I lose my job? Will I lose my scholarship? All these craziness started. So a good friend of mine, and it kind of put everything in perspective for me. He said it's years after. I heard him say this year after, but it was actually what kind of I went through. He said, adversity introduces a man to himself. That's Marcus Lattimore. So in case Marcus Lattimore said, adversity introduces a man to himself. So when you get in place, yeah, it is. So for me, it's two things you can do with that insecurity. You can either allow it to make you tuck and hide, or you can allow it to make you focus in and become better. And that's what I use. I took those insecurities and I made it to where no one was going to outwork me. No one's going to know more than me. So every time I say the best way to combat insecurity is preparation. So I want to make sure I was prepared for every game. I was prepared for every classroom. I was prepared for any and every situation I was going to enter into, because that would get rid of those insecurities so I can go out and be free and play.
Okay. Wow. Now I'm going to tell you something, man. That is very deep. So what did you guys actually finish the season with that year?
That year we ended up, I think we finished 10-3.
Okay.
That year, because it was North Carolina game. I ended up getting hurt, so I kind of hobbled through the rest of the year. And
no, Tar Heels are NC State.
Yep, Tar Heels when I got hurt. Matter of fact, that's when my guy Willie came in, threw for a touchdown, and brought us back to a victory. Willie Simmons, he was the backup quarterback then. He's now the head coach at Florida A&M. So
wow, shout out to him.
Yes, that's my guy too. I said he was my coach after a while.
Wow. So what were you then? You was a senior or junior at this point?
At that point, I was a junior.
Okay.
When Willie came in, yeah, because he came in '99, Coach Bowden's first year. So that was his second year there.
Okay.
In 2000.
All right, so you was a junior that y'all had the year that y'all went 10-3, or you a senior the year that y'all went 10-3?
I was a junior the year we went 10-3.
10-3. So you were junior. Okay, so now coming to your senior year, now you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So now going to your senior year, because I remember I think your senior year, I was a freshman at OW, I believe. I graduated 2005. I think I might have been freshman. I was freshman or sophomore, I can't remember. But coming into your senior year, you had Heisman hype.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I remember you had the Heisman hype. I remember playing with you on NCAA 99 when they had the block characters.
Yeah.
So I remember that because NCAA is always like a year behind.
Yeah.
So like you had a good year in 2000, you have the 99 thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have Heisman. How was that pressure? I don't even call it pressure or not. I don't know what you want to call it.
It's just kind of feeding off of what I just said. It's one of those things of, for me, it didn't matter. I could care less.
That's a big deal, though. That's a big deal, though.
It's a big deal when that's your mindset. That wasn't my mindset. I could care less. And I understood the magnitude of that award for the program, for the school, for the city, for the state. I understood what that meant. But as far as for me, I pushed because I was a firm believer that, look, if I take care of what I'm supposed to take care of, everything that's attached to it will come. My yardage will be what it needs to be. My performance will be what it needs to be. Any awards that's going to come is going to be what it needs to be. But if I make sure I understand defenses, I'm the best conditioned athlete on the field, I'm a strong leader, I'm taking care of my stuff in the classroom. If I take care of that stuff, everything is going to come. Yeah, everything that's attached to it is going to come. If I go out there shooting, trying to get those things, and I miss these fundamental principles, I'm going to miss it every time.
Miss every time. Everything's going to come. Hey, guys, if you're coming on here, this is episode 75. Hit that like, hit that share button. Hit that like, hit that share button. I'm interviewing the legend, Woodrow Dantzler III. He's not going to call himself a legend because he's modest, but me being a former entrepreneur.